What's going on, YouTube? Happy Halloween once again. Now, I recently did my 10 favorite horror movies of the 2010s, 2000s, 90s, 80s, and 70s. Now, I'm going to do one which is my 10 favorite horror movies of the golden ages, meaning 1920s to 1960s. Now, there's been lots of good horror films around that era. So, with that being said, here's my list. Coming in at number 10 will be 1940. Wait, I wrote it here. Yeah, the 1933 film The Invisible Man. Large. Yeah, which of course stars some classic actors, including Claude Rains, Gloria Stewart, loads of good castmates. Now, of course, The Invisible Man is like one of the Universal's classic horror tale where a guy pretty much becomes the Invisible Man. The Invisible Man is a classic. It's really very creepy, and it was in that era of classic movie monsters, and the Invisible Man is a good one. Now, I remember hearing about Johnny Depp supposedly supposed to be playing the role, but God knows if that Universal Monster universe is ever going to happen. But God knows if that will ever happen. But the original Invisible Man is really good. There are a few remakes that came out after this, but the original is a good one. It's all black and white. It's black and white movies in that era was all pretty decent. Speaking of black and white, coming in at number 9 is another movie in the monster universe of that era, and that is The Wolfman, which starred Lon Chaney Jr. as the Tyrell of the Wolfman. This is a classic. I mean, this movie got released in 1940. Wait, let me pull up the year. Oh, 1941, and The Wolfman is a horror classic. This is definitely one of the best werewolf movies come out in years. It's such a creepy one. I mean, the Wolfman is really creepy himself. And yeah, if you guys haven't seen the Wolfman, give it a go. The one with the remake with Benicio del Toro is pretty good, but the original one is where it's at. It's a classic. Coming in at number 8 will be Bride of Frankenstein. Now, this of course has Frankenstein who's now having a bride. This movie is a classic. I mean, it's pretty decent. It got released in 19. Like, hold the year. Yeah, 1935, and was directed by James Whale, and also had Elsa Lancaster as the Tyrell. You even had Boris Karloff reprising his role as Frankenstein. Now, of course, remember Bride of Chucky? That kind of was, if you want to look at it, was a parody of Bride of Frankenstein. If you want to look at that way, but Bride of Frankenstein is amazing. I remember hearing about them like Universal possibly doing another Bride of Frankenstein, but God knows if that will ever happen. All right, coming in at number 7 is a film called Freaks. Now this if you want to look at it, this was kind of like the American Horror Story of that era. Like, it got released in 1930. In 1932, and it's a really interesting film. It's pretty much about a circus, beautiful about a circus, beautiful trapeze artist who agrees to marry the leader of a sideshow performers, but his deformed friends discover she is only marrying him for like his inheritance. And yeah, this one really, like, you could tell that American Horror Story Freak Show was kind of influenced by this movie. You could literally tell that. And I haven't seen this movie for a long time. I remember watching it once and kind of really digging that. It's pretty decent. It's like a Dirty's cult classic, and if if you guys haven't seen Freaks, give it a go. I think you'll probably get a kick out of it. All right, coming in at number 6 is Frankenstein. Now, of course, it stars Boris Karloff as the role of Frankenstein. Boris Karloff was a horror legend back in the days. You know, he was amazing at playing Frankenstein. Of course, he reprised his role again for Bride of Frankenstein, and he played Frankenstein a few other times. But the original got released in 1931. I remember that one, and it's amazing. If you guys haven't seen like the original Frankenstein, check it out. There's been other Frankenstein like films that came after this, where they talked about the abysmal I Frankenstein, or that one that Daniel Radcliffe did recent. But the best Frankenstein was the original. It's definitely classic. And if you want to look at it, it's technically a zombie movie. If you want to look at it in a way, because he comes back from the dead, and of course the other best Frankenstein movie is Young Frankenstein. That's also a classic. But the original Frankenstein is where it's at. It's amazing. All right, coming in at number 5 will be actually the only silent movie on my list, and it's a classic. It's Nosferatu. Definitely one of the best vampires out there. Nosferatu was released in. Let me pull the year. Yeah, it was released in 1922. Of course, the 20s was the silent movie era, and even starred Max Schreck as the role of Count Orlok. You also had some silent movie legends in this as well. Nosferatu is a silent movie classic. It's definitely probably one of my favorite silent movies of all time. Now, I was never really big with silent movies because I kind of like watching movies when they're talking. But Nosferatu is incredible. It's one of the best vampire. Like, this movie was a game changer for vampires, and it's a classic. If you guys want to check out a good silent film of that era, Nosferatu is one worth checking out. And of course, if you want to watch other silent movies, maybe Charlie Chaplin films are good ones to start. But the best silent movie ever is Nosferatu. Like, if you haven't seen it, check Nosferatu out. It's enjoyable to watch. Coming in at number 4 is George A. Romero's classic Night of the Living Dead. Now, here's the thing. If it wasn't for this movie, we wouldn't have stuff like Walking Dead and those other zombie films in the past years. This here was the game changer for zombies. It was also the first horror movie with a black lead in the cast. So that was also a game changer for this. And you can see people like Jordan Peele was also influenced by this movie, and Night of the Living Dead is fantastic. It has some interesting lines in it, like "They're coming to get you, bro." I mean, who don't remember that line? The lead in this was played by this actor named yeah, the lead actor in this is Dwayne Jones. He was amazing in this, and the zombies all look cool. Yeah, if you guys haven't seen Night of the Living Dead, this one was released in 19. Let me put up the year. In 1968, and it's a zombie movie that still holds up today. It was the game changer for zombies. It's a 60s classic. Definitely give Night of the Living Dead a go. It's amazing. Alright, coming in at number 3 is Rosemary's Baby. Now, come on, this is pretty much about a woman who is carrying the Satan's child. It was directed by Roman Polanski. Mia Farrow is in this. Say what you want about Roman Polanski's personal life, he's actually a really solid director, and he did such a good job with Rosemary's Baby. Mia Farrow was amazing in this. It had a pretty good supporting cast as well, and it's pretty creepy. I mean, this movie will make lots of women not even want to get pregnant. That's how creepy this movie was back in the days. Yeah, definitely check out Rosemary's Baby. It's a classic and it's completely creepy. All right, coming in at number 2 is Dracula. Now this starred Bela Lugosi, who was also a big horror guy back in the days. Bela Lugosi was such a good Dracula. I mentioned how Nosferatu is one, like Nosferatu and From Dusk to Dawn are two of my favorite vampire movies. Dracula is definitely on that list. It's amazing. I mean, Bela Lugosi as Count Dracula is probably the best Dracula you ever want to see on screen, and he really and you can tell that Bela Lugosi really loved that character because when Bela Lugosi passed away during his funeral, he he actually dressed up as Dracula in his coffin. I mean, you can tell how dedicated he is to that character. He was to that character. And there's of course been other good interpretations of Dracula, like Gary Oldman played Dracula, even Adam Sandler voiced Dracula. But the best ever will, of course, always be Bela Lugosi. And if you guys want like a classic vampire movie to watch besides Nosferatu, check out Bela Lugosi's Dracula. It's also a classic. All right, coming in at number 1 will be Alfred Hitchcock's classic Psycho. I mean, Psycho is completely a creepy one. You guys know that shower scene is. I mean, this is like the shower scene was pretty interesting because you would not expect because it pretty much killed off the main character in the beginning. So that was kind of a game changer for this film. And of course, the one who was in this was Jamie Lee Curtis's mom, Janet Leigh. She pretty much technically played the one who gets killed in the shower. Anthony Perkins as Norman Bates is iconic. Alfred Hitchcock, he was the master of suspense. That guy was such a good director. Now, I recently did like my 10 favorite Alfred Hitchcock movies, and Psycho was actually ended up being number 1. I mean, it's classic. I mean, this movie was pretty creepy at times. It had a good performance by Anthony Perkins. Then, of course, we have like a few sequels and even a remake, and the prequel TV show with Freddie Highmore, which was amazing. Yeah, for every reason, if you still haven't seen Psycho, give it a go. Norman Bates was, well, Psycho. It's definitely a classic. But yeah, that's pretty much it for my 10 favorite horror movies of the Golden Ages. Let me do the quick rundown. Number 10, The Invisible Man. Number 9, The Wolfman. Number 8, Bride of Frankenstein. Number 7, Freaks. Number 6, Frankenstein. Number 5, Nosferatu. Number 4, Night of the Living Dead. Number 3, Rosemary's Baby. Number 2, Dracula. And number 1, Psycho. Now, there's a few other ones I could have added. The Birds is a good one. The original Blob, The Thing from Outer Space is a good one I could have added. There's been loads of horror movies in the earliest years, and let me leave it to you guys. What are your favorite horror movies from the Golden Ages? Whether you talk about 1920s to 1960s. What's your favorite horror movies from that time period? Drop a comment below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell for more notifications. This here is Thomas L. signing off.